all directed to their places and assigned tables and remain standing. Hey, 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 hey. All guests are directed to their assigned tables and remain standing.
Ladies and gentlemen, please remain standing until told to sit down, if you will please. Now, if you can't remain standing, please sit down. Mr. Lead Hitchman Young, please secure the room.
Aye, sir.
Mr. Good, is your entrance secure?
Lead Henchman Young, this entrance is secure.
Sir, the room is secure.
Thank you, Henchman Young. At this time, I would like for the Reverend Rumholt to say the Celtic Grace.
Very, very briefly, I briefly entertained the possibility of engaging a local vocal coach to help me with the finer points or even the rougher points of a Scottish brogue. In the end, I thought, being faced with such an angry mob, I would panic and end up sounding like a pirate. So I reached out to Fiona Ritchie for some tips, and she gave me a phonetic pronunciation of the Selkirk Grace. Let us pray. Some hae meat and cannot eat, and some what eat that want it. But we hae meat and we can eat, and say the Lord be thanked. Amen.
Amen.
Henchman, would you please fetch the chef and the haggis? Grand Chef Bill, step forward. Chef Bill.
Yes.
Is the haggis and the dinner ready for presentation?
Sir, the haggis and the dinner is ready for presentation.
Thank you, Chef Bill. At this time, we will ask our barbs to address the haggis and to do a toast. Gentlemen.
Verify, your honest Sansives, great chieftain of the pudding race, a boon, and that would take your place, pinch tripe and arm, will are you worthy of a grace, as long as me arm. A groaning trencher, there ye fill, your hoodies like a distant hill. Hoodies are buttocks, by the way. Your pin would help to mend the mill in time of need, while through your pores the dews distill like amber bead. 'Tis nice, see rustic labor dyke, and cut you up in ready slight, trenching your gushing entrails bright, like only ditch. And then, oh, what a glorious sight, warm reeking rich. Ye powers, what made mankind your care, and dish 'em out their bill of fare. Old Scotland once nae stinking ware, that yops in luggies. But if you wish your grateful prayer, give her a haggis. Now, Whiskey Bear, please pour me a wee dram to salute the haggis. Everyone should find a wee dram at their place, so if you can please get your glass.
Oh, I think it's cooked. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, that's the stomach.
We're going to do this 3 times, and we're going to all do it together. To the haggis 3 times.
To the haggis! To the haggis! To the haggis! Thank you, lads. Lads, you guys get your seats.
I'd like to direct your attention to page 2 of the printed program. Everyone should have one at their place setting. It outlines the program and the ceremony for this evening. Except for a little foolishness which we've added, this ceremony has basically stayed the same since 1801, when they had the first dinner for Robert Burns, or in his memory, 5 years after he passed away, in Alloway. So what you see here tonight, as far as the address to the haggis and such, that was done in 1801, and some other things you'll see tonight were done in 1801. On the other hand, the things you're going to see tonight that were not done in 1801. So just enjoy. I'd also like to direct your attention to page 4 of the program, who are the participants in tonight's program, which we thank very, very much, and you'll recognize some of them as they come forth. First, I would like to welcome you to the 260th birthday of Robert Burns, the Bard of Scotland. Here, Barb's here tonight, who you've already heard from, Mr. Doug Orr and Mr. Rick Yatolsky. Between them is Doug's wife, Darcy. The Reverend Steve Runholt, over here to my left, who you've heard, and my wife, Tom. Also in the procession tonight, that was a procession that came a while ago. Our piper, Steve Aiden, where are you, lad? You'll hear a wee bit more from him. Also, our henchman. How did you like our henchman?
Hey.
Scary lads they are. Mr. Tom Gibbs and Mr. Alan Young. Thank you so much. Also, I would like to, in the procession, I'm sure you recognize our whiskey bearer, Mr. Oscar Wong. And the first cup bearer, Mr. Peter Heckman. There he is, a fine lad that he is. Also, we had our haggis bearer from the kitchen, or our staff, Chris Churches, there you go. Chris Churches, who is our haggis bearer, and he will be coming around with the haggis in a moment. And our chef, our club chef, Bill Klein, who has retired to the kitchen to get everything in order.
Envy, if thy jaundiced eye through the window spy, to thy sorrow shalt thou find all that's generous, all that's kind, friendship, virtue, and every grace dwelling in this happy place. That's Bobby Burns. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It's really a pleasure to be here with you all on this 260th anniversary of Robert Burns' birthday and the first annual Asheville Sister Cities Dunkeld Birnam Burns Supper from the St. Andrews Society of the State of New York, founded in 1756, to the New York Caledonian Club, founded in 1856, the University of Highlands and Islands, not founded that long ago, but a wonderful place, the Clan Grant Society of America, and the Global Scot. Scota per diversa avagates. That is Marcellinus, speaking of the Celts during the time of Caesar, as it appears in his commentaries. And even in the 4th century, their descendants, the Scots, were a wandering race. Kim ichig a nadun, yudon te nagig tu argus tango. And that means, remember those from whom you are descended and be thankful. Ladies and gentlemen, I give you the memory of a man whose life was far too short, Robert Burns.
Honored to be a co-bard with Rick Lotowski because we've made several trips over to Scotland and Dunkeld and Birnam together to create our Sister City partnership. Robert Burns, Plowman Port, Bard of Ayrshire, his home, and a few years ago voted in a referendum in Scotland as the greatest Scot of all time. His legacy endures, of course, worldwide in terms of the literary tradition. But it's important to remember the genius of Burns.
Just a couple of paragraphs about that connection. First of all, about the poet himself. Physically, he was about 5'9", stockily built, possessed of great physical strength in his prime. His handsome features are familiar to us from the great portrait by his friend Alexander Nasmith, which hangs to this day in the National Portrait Gallery. Having been gifted by the poet's soldier son, Colonel Burns, with the simple and splendid stipulation that it became the property of the people of Scotland forever. His complexion was dark, his forehead broad, his hair black, but the most arresting feature of his physical presence, clear from the portrait and attested repeatedly by those who knew him in the flesh, was the eyes. For example, when John Lockhart was writing the first scholarly biography of Burns in 1828, he approached his father-in-law, Sir Walter Scott, who cast his mind back 40 years to his one and only meeting with Burns in Professor Adam Ferguson's home in Edinburgh. He wrote, "I would have taken him had I not known who he was for a typical Scottish farmer of the old school. Only the eye betrayed the poetic character and temperament, and it glowed. I say literally glowed when he spoke of something with feeling or interest. I have not seen such an eye in a human head." For those that are familiar with the biography of Walter Scott will recall that he was personally acquainted with 2 kings, with all the leaders of the literary, academic, and intellectual spheres of his day, yet never in all that vast acquaintance had he ever seen anything like the black, glowing eyes of Robert Burns.
I'm glad to hear them talk about Burns's trip to the Highlands in 1787 and Dunkeld and Burns wrote My Heart's in the Highland after he came back from the Highlands and decided to start farming in Dumfries. At the 4 years that he spent there farming, he wrote My Heart's in the Highlands. My heart's in the Highlands, my heart is not here. My heart's in the Highlands, a chasing the deer, a chasing the wild deer and following the roe. My heart's in the Highlands wherever I go. Farewell to the Highlands, farewell to the North, the birthplace of valor, the country of worth. Wherever I wander, wherever I rove, the hills of the highlands forever I love. Farewell to the mountains high covered with snow, farewell to the straths and green valleys below. Farewell to the forest and wild hanging woods, farewell to the torrents and loud pouring floods. My heart's in the highlands, my heart is not here, my heart's in the highlands a-chasing the deer. Chasing the deer and following the road, my heart's in the highlands wherever I go.
Carrie assures me that the clogging of the Carolinas and step dancing are all Gaelic and related, so this is Biddy from Sligo.
It's a poem written by Robert Burns in Scots language in 1785. There are two versions of the story about the events that inspired the 26-year-old bard of Asheville, who was in the fields when he was moved to write one of the finest and most memorable poems that contains one of the most famous lines ever written by any poet. This beautiful poem was imagined while the poet was holding the plow on the farm of Muskill. It was his family farm, after a field hand had chased the mouse with a plow. The field hand was rebuked by his young master, who was inquired what harm the poor mouse had done to him. The other version of the story, it was the plowman poet himself, who was wielding the farm tool that happened to disturb the mouse's nest. Either way, the nest was disturbed, and so was young Robbie. Oh, what a panic is in your breast. You need not dash away so hasty with your hurry scamper, when I would be loath to run after and chase you with a murdering plow staff. I'm truly sorry man's dominion has broken nature's social union and justifies that ill opinion which makes you startle when I'm your poor earth-born companion and fellow mortal. I have no doubt you sometimes may steal, but what of it, friend? Poor little beast, you must live. An odd corn ear in 24 sheaves is a small behest. I will get a blessing with what is left and never miss it. Your small house lies in ruin. Its feeble walls the winds are scattering, and nothing's left now to build a new one of mosses green, since bleak December winds ensuing blow fast and keen. But oh, I backward cast my eye on prospects dreary, and forward, though I cannot see, I guess and fear.
When Chapman billies leave the street, and drouthy neighbours meet, as market days are wearing late and folk begin to tap the gate, while we sit boozing at the nappy, getting full and unca happy, we think not on the lang Scots miles, the mosses, waters, slaps and stiles that lie between us and our hame, where sits our sulky, sullen dame, gathering her brows like gathering storm, nursing her wrath to keep it warm.
In this 19 1794 poem, Burns declares his love for his country with an allegory of his love for a Scottish maiden, which like a rose is sudden and natural. He uses several analogies. So fair art thou, my bonny lass, so deep in love am I, and I will love thee still, my dear, till all the seas gain dry. Till all the seas gain dry, my dear, and the rocks melt with the sun, I will love thee still, my dear, while the sands of life shall run. And fare thee weel, my only love, and fare thee weel a while, and I will come again, my love, though it were 10,000 miles.
In August. And some of the lasses who are going to be participating in that agreed to come tonight and have been entertaining you. And I would like to ask them to come up now and do a coming through the ride. Where are my lasses? Connor Farnsworth, Grace Siplin, and Megan, where are you at? Megan?
So we were asked to do a true rendition, a song rendition of a true Scottish poet, and so that is what we have done. So sing along if you know it, it's beloved in our hearts. I would walk 500 miles and I would walk 500. I'm seeing confused. Is that not Robert Burns? I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. We're embarrassed. Okay, I think I have. All right, we got it. We got it now. We got it now. All right, I've got it. Oh, you quick? No. All right. If a body meets a body coming through the rye, if a body greets a body, need a body cry. Everybody has his lassie, so they say hi-bye. Yet all the lassies smile at me while coming through the rye.
Before I get started, I'll tell you a little bit about William Jackson. William Jackson was born in 1955. He was born near Glasgow. He was in the music business. He is a composer. He even moved to Asheville for a time. He was the director of the Mission Children's Hospital here in Asheville, the music department. This song is called A Land of Light. And he won the Song of Scotland competition for that year. So I'll recite it. I'm not going to sing it. I'll spare you that. So I'll recite it. O land of light, ancient and strong, land of justice and hope of the young, land of the glen and shining river, Scotland, my home forever. Alba, my tweet, go, Jara, Mutla. Freedom and truth, music and verse, carry the flame to the ends of the earth. Dear to my heart, where'er I wander, Scotland, my homeland forever. Alba, my trish, go, Jara, Mutla. Now dawns the age, now comes the call. Carry science and learning to all. God be our guide and leave us never. Scotland, my homeland forever. Alba, my tweet, go, Jara, Mutla. Scotland, my homeland forever.
A few things to share. One is, so the definition of a gentleman in Scotland is a man who knows how to play the bagpipes but never does. So I'm trying to graduate to that level. I'm not quite there. And the other one is, you know the difference between a bagpipe and a chainsaw? Well, you can tune a chainsaw. This is the Mason's apron.
30 years ago. So I will tell you that for 30 years, Asheville Sister Cities has dedicated our organization to supporting international friendships and partnerships around the world. And we are so excited that Dunkeld and Birnam is our newest sister city relationship. My husband, Russ Martin, back there, Russ wave. Hi, Russ. So we have been twice, and of course, Doug and Darcy Orr and Rick Lutowski, they have a long relationship with Dunkeld and Birnam, which is a totally amazing community that when you look at the similarities between Asheville and Dunkeld and Birnam, you'll find that we share much in common.
Welcome from Dunkeld and Birnam, Asheville's sister community here in Scotland. And we're delighted to be speaking to you on this special occasion when you're having your very first Burns Night supper to honour our most famous poet. It's 260 years this year since he was born. The World Federation of Robert Burns Clubs numbers hundreds of clubs around the world, which will be having suppers on or near the 25th of January. And we're delighted to know that you in Asheville are adding to those many hundred. We're in very good company. We're standing by the River Tay in Dunkeld. The cathedral's behind. The Tay is close by, and it's at this point on the Tay that Burns would have crossed to meet with Neil Gow at the rectory, which is near here as well, in 1787. So they did both meet. Neil Gow, our most famous local figure. And we're delighted to know that some of you are going to be coming here in September when the University of North Carolina Asheville alumni make their visit. You'll be able to be right here where we are and to be on the spot where Burns crossed the Tay to see Neil Gow.
I hope you have a wonderful Burns supper, Alistair and I, and Pete Clark. Wishing you all the best from Dunkeld and Birnam, and we look forward to seeing you soon.
So let's go to Dunkeld.
Flow gently, Tay waters, among thy green braes. From the banks of the French Broad we sing in thy praise. In the heart of the Blue Ridge, to Perthshire's old hills, twin sisters we join hands and glasses refilled. Oh, the fiddlers do play and the balladeers sing of the age-old migrations, a carrying stream, Dunkeld and Birnam and all who there dwell. We dream of your beauty, the poets retell. So flow gently, Tay waters, among thy green braes. We lift up our glasses to friends far away. In a world often broken, as a bridge we will be to our trusty Scot friends. Peace and blessings to thee, to our friends in Canada.
All right, does that inspires? Didn't it inspire us to want to go to Dunkeld? Right, Oscar? Oscar, do you want to go to Dunkeld? He's like, you're gonna. Oh, that reminds me. Why don't we ask somebody from the UNCA? Like Elizabeth Underwood, to come up here and tell us what they're doing this August, September to take us to Dunkeld and Birnam.
McKellen came up by far and away among the favorite. We've since graduated from that because it's too easy, too refined, but it is a delicious scotch. Uses a lot of oak and very thin. Talisker Storm is D. Talisker Storm is from the Isle of Skye and expanded in 1900, and they've won many awards. And similar to the art bag, we gravitate towards it. It has a little more kick to it, and the appendage storm, by the way, I think is to get the idea of, remind you of the smells of the sea.
One of Burns' renowned songs that really is an anthem sung all over the world is "A Man's a Man for All That."
It's a song about the equality of all folks, and here at the end of a week that celebrated Martin Luther King, it's certainly appropriate. It's said that this song and poem also connected with the French Revolution. It was published not in Scotland or England, but in Ulster, Northern Ireland, because it was so revolutionary at the time. There's 6 verses. I'll just read one, and Rick will read one in the interest of time. A man's a man for all that. Is there for honest poverty that hangs his head and all that? The coward slave, we pass him by, we dare be poor for all that. And for all that, and for all that, our toils obscure and all that. The rank is but the guinea stamp, the man's the good for all that.
And let us pray that come it may, as come it will for all that sense and worth o'er all the earth shall bear the G and all that. For all that and all that, it's coming yet for all that man to man, the world o'er, shall brothers be for all that.
Thank you, lads. At this time, I will turn it back over to Doug, who will tell a little story of the lasses and do a tribute song to the lasses.
It's certainly fitting that we come to the end of our evening by tributes and toast to the lassies, because Robbie Burns more or less spent his lifetime doing that. Dear Robert Burns, your words turned into songs and floated upstream and then turned into rains and drifted down and lodged and swung and clung to drifts of driftwood to warm and heat and fertilize new seeds. Your words were the upheat and the downs. Your words were more from the heather than from the town. Your thoughts came more from the weather than from the schoolroom, and more from shifting vines than from the book. I bought a little 4-inch square book while I was a torpedoed seaman walking around over your clods and sods of Glasgow, and the little book says on the outer cover, 50 songs of Burns, the price 4D, and I read from page to page and found that you covered a woman on every page. I thought as I picked up the book here at home that maybe the book had ought to have had some kind of new name, like 50 pages, 50 women, enlarged upon by Robert Burns. In the interest of time, we were going to share with you the song Green Grow the Rashes. I'll just share the chorus of it with you another time, perhaps. Green grow the rashes, oh, green grow the rashes, oh. The bonniest hours I ever spent was spent among the lassies, oh. There are a number of verses in tribute to the lassies, and I think we have a couple of short poems, don't we, Carrie?
We're ready. We're ready for some toast. At the end of the ceremony, someone is asked to do a toast to the lassies, and I think one of our henchmen, Mr. Alan Young, will do the toast to the lassies, and then Kathleen, his better half. Kathleen, come on up. Kathleen will respond with a toast from a lassie.
Tradition of the toast to the lassies also tells me to thank the lassies who prepared and served the meal. In Robert Burns' time, this was appropriate. Lassies were either maidservants or the wife, whose job was to manage the maidservants. But times have changed. We live in the 3rd millennium. Equality is the key word of the future. And so I really have to thank the men who prepared the meal. I would, however, offer my gratitude and sincerest appreciations to the many lassies of our group who worked tirelessly to bring this event into fruition, even though it's not a cooking role. Your dedication, talent, and sparkle add inestimable value, and we could not have done this without you. Speaking of inestimable lassies, I will call out my bonny lassie, Kathleen, by name, since she will be driving me home.
As I think of my bonny lassie, if I may, I would like to introduce a moment of romance. For ladies here without a partner, I pray your indulgence for a moment, but please do join in. Ladies, please place your hand on the table in front of you. Thank you. Now, would the respective husbands and partners please lay their own hand over their lady's hand? Thank you. If there is a single lassie nearby, please share your other hand. Thank you. Gentlemen, please make the most of this moment, as it may be the only time you have the upper hand.
That's cute. That's cute.
So, gentlemen, in conclusion, I'm confident that I have your support to say to every lassie here today from your menfolk, here's to the prettiest, here's to the wittiest, here's to the truest of all who are true, here's to the neatest one, here's to the sweetest one, here's to them all wrapped up in one, here's to you. Gentlemen, please be upstanding and join me in toasting our lovely lassies. The lassies.
Hey, hey, my lassie.
Lassies, do you agree they need a response?
Yeah.
Who's with me here? All right. Well, thank you, sir. You do make us blush. And we know your words are not just mush. You've carefully planned our evening's fun, filled with song and dance and drink, while rescuing us from dawdling over that dreaded kitchen sink. You took us back to days of old, with neeps and tatties offered so bold. Oscar poured each and every one a wee dram. Did we complain? No, sir. No, ma'am. When you laddies ask us to dance, it gives us our hearts a tilt, especially when you twirl around and give a flash of kilt. Our men are filled with honor, courage, and wholesome pride. There's nothing we cannot do without a laddie by our side. Yes, a lass without her laddie is a sorry sight to see, like a haggis without the oatmeal, or a golf ball without a tee, and a kilt without the tartan, or which doesn't show the knee. So let these words of praise resound, a Scotsman's most certainly fine to have around. We appreciate our laddies, so on high our cups will raise, for whenever and whenever we do lavish your praise. So to the laddies from whom we've sought, lassies, please stand with me and raise your cup.
Okay.
To the laddies.
Cheers.
First, again, thank you so much for coming and for the support. I have been saying for years that I wanted to do a Robert Burns dinner. My great-grandfather's from Scotland. He jumped ship in Philadelphia Harbor in 1869 and never looked back. Queen Victoria did forget him later, but he was an illegal immigrant there for a while, so here I am. But I'm very proud of my Scottish heritage, and as I say, I've always wanted to do this, and I'm pleased that I did. Thank you. I'd like to remind you about the trip in September to Scotland. I think we're up to about 20 or 22 in Rising. It's going to be a marvelous, fun trip. If you've never seen Scotland, come on this trip with friends. You'll enjoy it very much. And last but not least, you want to do this again.
Yeah.
All right. Put it on your calendar. Saturday, January 25th, 2020, we will come together again in fellowship. I'll turn it over to Doug and Darcy for Old Lang Syne, which is on the back. I mentioned on the back of your program.
We're going to share Old Lang Syne with you really in 3 parts because there's a real story behind Burns' composition that probably is sung more than any song in the world along with Happy Birthday, don't you think? He wrote the song. He actually had heard the expression from a peasant saying, but it also belonged to a poem of a couple hundred years before. Part of the genius of Burns, bringing all the pieces together. He selected a melody from his Ayrshire home area. His approach was to pick out a fiddle melody and tune and put it to his poetry. It's not the melody you know today, however, because when he died, his editor, George Thompson, kind of a presumptuous sort, decided it needed a more bouncy flavor and selected a melody called Miller's Wedding, and that's the one you know. We're going to do just a verse and a chorus of the old melody, then we will go to the new melody and version. The verses are in your program, and when we get to the last verse, here's a hand, my trusty friend. We invite you to join hands just the way we did at Highland Brewery when Fiona was over and we ended the evening. We ask that you all stand up as we sing together. And then, to culminate the evening, the sound of the bagpipe, of course, Steve Hagan will send us home on the pipes. The old version, just the verse and the chorus. Should old acquaintance be forgot and never brought to mind? Should old acquaintance be forgot and old lang syne? For old lang syne, my dear, for old lang syne, we'll take the cup of kindness yet for old lang syne.
Now the melody you know.
Old acquaintance we forgot and never brought to mind. Should old acquaintance be forgot and